Hey everybody, I'm coming to you from, oh, here goes my camera mount. I have so many problems with tripods and camera mounts. Let's try this again. Hey everybody, coming from my gear room, wearing my favorite shirt. It's a good shirt. So I wanted to do this outside and I wanted to set some of my gear up. And I wanted to show you old gear compared to new gear, but it's like 93 degrees outside and I don't know, like 125% humidity. I don't know how that's possible, but that's what it feels like. So it's horrible. So I'm doing this from this is our bike and camping gear room. It's more like it's a really weird shaped house. It's built really weird. But anyway, so I wanted to tell you about how I lightened up my base weight of my backpack for backpacking, Appalachian Trail camping, whatever you like to call it, section hiking. We've been doing a lot of and speaking of doing a through hike on the Appalachian Trail, I don't handle the heat very well, and I'm worried about the dog in the cold, because she handles it well, but all day it's a little tough. And even the heat all day is a little tough for her. So while I want to do a through hike end to end, Georgia to Maine, I'm thinking I may end up doing a flip-flop next year if everything works out. You know, we got to work out all the logistics of it and see if it's something that we can financially do and schedule wise do. So we're thinking if I did a flip-flop, I'd be able to avoid the hottest and coldest weather if I time it right. But then I started thinking about how hard it is for me to get away for any length of time, that I may end up just doing section hikes, and that's cool too. I want to do the Appalachian Trail end to end, and as far as I'm concerned, any way that you can do it is valid. So I don't care if you take a week at a time every year or every month or whatever and do as much as you can, or if you just take 6 months off work and do it in one shot. However it works for you is the right way. Don't let anybody tell you that there's a wrong way to do it, or that your way isn't as valid as somebody else's way, or because they did it this way, they're heroes and you're not. Like, don't let anybody tell you that, because nobody knows the obstacles you have to overcome to do something like this. And I've talked about this in videos before, that sometimes it's an obstacle just to get up out of bed and go outside and face the world because of whatever physical, mental, or financial issues you may have going on. So if you get out there and do it any way you can. That's great. I think it's awesome. So now I want to talk about gear. So I'm a real real kind of funny about my gear. It's like gear weenie, weight weenie. In the mountain biking world, I used to make fun of people that counted grams and ounces, but now I'm doing it backpacking. So when I originally set up my base weight, and for those of you that don't know, a base weight on your pack is your pack and all your gear minus food, water, and fuel. Now the thing about the fuel that I don't get is if you're using those canister stoves, even once you run out of fuel, you still have to carry that empty canister stove. Right? The empty canister, gas canister. So that really bites. So I'm trying to think of alternative fuel sources. Alcohol stoves, Esbit tabs. I like the idea of Esbit tabs. I don't like the way they smell when they burn. I don't like the residue they left on my pot when I tried them out. But I may have had the pot too close to the Esbit tab. So we're going to try moving it a little further away and see how that works. And but I think Esbit tabs are a great idea because you can't spill them. You can snuff them out and reuse them later. The only hard thing is they're probably hard to find on a trail. So resupply, you'd have to have them shipped to you. you know, and then I've got a little stick stove that just requires little sticks to use. But, so anyways, I'm still tossing that whole thing around. But, so your base weight is all your gear, not including any, what they would call consumables, water, food, and fuel. That could also include toilet paper, because you're going to be burying your toilet paper or leaving it in a privy. But some people think you should pack your toilet paper out, which I do. I do pack my toilet paper out. So conceivably toilet paper could get heavier the longer you go. Baby wipes, if you bring them, are, even though you're using them, they're not a consumable because you're not burying them. Those you have to pack out. Even the biodegradable ones, pack them out. So you're never letting go of them. You're going to be using them, but still putting them in your garbage bag. So my base weight, when I first started anticipating doing this and started getting my gear together, my base weight was almost 27 pounds. It was like 26 and change, but I had forgotten to add a couple little things. So it was a good 27, maybe even 28 pounds. Oh boy. And then add food and water. No wonder why my first backpacking trip with that thing, I thought I was going to die. It was so awful. It was so heavy. So I decided I needed to start cutting weight, and this is how I did it. First thing is I got a scale. I think my scale is inaccurate though, because I took my backpack to REI and had them weigh it. Maybe their scale is wrong, I don't know. But it was like 15 pounds and change. And I brought it home and weighed it on my scale, and it was 16 pounds and change. So theirs was off a pound, or mine was off a pound. I don't know. I like to think mine was off a pound, but I do know that there are times I weigh things, and the very next day I weigh it and I get a different weight. And sometimes it's more and sometimes it's less. So I don't think it's a very accurate scale. It's a digital postal scale. I don't think it's very accurate, but it does still give you an idea of where to start. So that was the first thing. The second thing is I made a list, and I tried to categorize it a little bit to make it easier for me to find things on my list. I just made a list and I wrote things down, what they were and how much they weighed. And I mean, I at first I was just weighing the big basic stuff, but I started weighing everything, like down to like a carabiner, a spork, like it weighed everything. So here's some of the things that I did to cut weight. And I wanted to show you the gear, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to show you everything. And it'll make the video too long too. So one of the things that I did to cut weight, and I know some of these things you're going to be like, wow, that was a big loss. And other things, it's like, well, you're talking like 0.6 of an ounce. But I'm going to tell you something. Think about it. If you have 16 items and you can shave an ounce off each one, that's 16 ounces you just lost, and that's a whole pound. Okay? That's very significant. Believe me. It is. So one of the first things I did was cookies, food, and water dish. This is her food dish. It's silicone, so it folds up and it's easy to pack. When we're out on the trail, I have to heat water up for her because we use a dehydrated food for her when we're out on the trail. And you have to add, not quite boiling, but pretty hot water to it to reconstitute it. So I needed something that you could put boiling water in, and the silicone bowl fits the bill, but it's 3 ounces. Now I know it doesn't sound like much, but then this is her water bowl that I would fold this up and stick it in my pocket or down my bra or wherever was handy at the time, so that when we're out on the trail I can give her water out of her water bottle. And I used to just pour the water in my hand and let her drink it that way, or just pour it out of the bottle slowly and she would lap from the bottle. And for day hikes, that's fine. But when we're out on the AT trail and you're going to be out there backpacking for days on end and you don't know where your next water source is, or you do know and it's far away, I started using the water bowl so I could put water in it, she could drink it, and I could pour it back into her water bottle. She has water bottles specifically for her. This is 1.2 ounces. So two of them together, 4.2 ounces. what I ended up doing, I found out about smelly bags. If you don't know about them, look them up. They're pretty cool. I bought a whole bunch of smelly bags when they were on sale. And I took a smelly bag, a medium-sized one with a pleated bottom. I took 2 of them, and I cut it off and made a water bowl and a food bowl. These will take boiling water. You can cook food in them in boiling water. So just having hot water poured into it to mix up for food. And I have 2 of them. 2 of them, 0.8 ounces. 0.8 ounces. Okay? So you guys do the math. That is... I don't know. 4.2. 4.2 minus 0.8 is 3.4. 3.4 ounce savings with just this one thing. 3.4 ounces. Just this one thing. Okay? So it can really, you'll be surprised how much it adds up. Okay? So the other thing I did, my hammock straps. I was using those daisy chain straps that everybody loves because they're so easy. But my daisy chain straps for my hammock were, where is it on the list? Where is it on the list? My daisy chain straps were 12 ounces. I learned how to tie some knots. And now I use like a version of a marlin spike hitch. Shugemery, maybe I'll put a link to him down below, called it a J-bend knot. I don't know. But anyways, I learned how to tie this really cool knot and just use flat straps. And now my hammock suspension weighs 8.2 ounces. So that's a savings of almost 4 ounces. Almost 4 ounces. Okay, and I have more hanging possibilities because I included a set of whoopee slings with that, and I can hang between trees that are much further apart than I could when using just the daisy chain. Not that I would probably ever need to hang that far, and I'm thinking of taking the whoopee slings out of that. And if I do, it's like 6 ounces. So my hammock straps were cut, the weight was cut in half. So that's 6 ounces. So that's 6 ounces plus the 3 point whatever ounces before. And we're up to 10 ounce savings on just 2 items. Okay, so then I came into a little bit of surprise money that I wasn't expecting. And I said to my husband, I said, can we take half of it and use it towards bills and the other half, can I buy some gear? He was like, yeah, sure, go for it, honey. So I pulled the trigger and I bought a couple of things that I didn't think I'd ever spend this kind of money on. But let me tell you, the savings was amazing. So I had made us under quilts because we're poor and making them was a lot cheaper than buying them. But it was 2 quilts. I made them out of down blankets we have from Costco, believe it or not. But to get down to like 55 degrees or 50 degrees, I had to use 2 quilts. And it would still be a little chilly. And you had to put on a jacket or have a blanket. So we're going to say, let's say down to 55 degrees, it would take both these quilts. These 2 quilts together were over 2 pounds. It was like 2 pounds, 6 ounces. Or something like that. I don't remember exactly. It's written on my list somewhere. Well, I ended up buying an underquilt from Hammock Gear, I think. I think I bought it from Hammock Gear. And it's a 3/4 quilt. And it's down. And it's rated at 20 degrees. I'm not sure it'll really go down that far, but that's what they say. Well, it weighs less than a pound by itself. So I saved 22 ounces buying the other quilts because now it's 1 quill compared to 2 quills. Saved 22 ounces. That actually enables me to bring this fleece blanket that I really like. It's really cute. It's got pandas on it, but it's really fuzzy and it's fleece. So even if it gets wet, it'll keep you warm, and it'll cover me if I need. And that only weighs 13 ounces. So I'm adding back in 13 ounces. But even those 2 items together still saved me 5 ounces, and I'm going to be able to go to much lower temperatures than I could before. And it's much more comfy. You know, the fuzzy blanket is comfy when you sleep with it. So it's a little luxury, but I think it's a good luxury. And so I still saved 5 ounces there, you know, and it's a better system. Their quilt is much easier to adjust than the ones I made. The ones I made, they work, but boy, they're a pain in the butt. So my hammock, I had a double wide gold armor hammock that I love, but I said, you know what, it's over £1. I need something lighter. I bought a Grand Trunk hammock, and I did a video, a gear review on that, and I'll put it down below. And I took off their carabiners that they used, and I put on continuous loops and saved 1.2 ounces off of that from their original weight, but using the lighter hammock to begin with, 12.8 ounce savings, switching from the gold armor to the Grand Trunk. So for a total of 14 ounces, switching over to hammock, 14 ounces. Tarp, I bought a Dyneema tarp. Oh my God, was that expensive? But that saved me 16.6 ounces. 16.6 ounces, over £1. I have a Trangia stove. Love my Trangia stove. But you know what? It's heavy. So I bought one of those fancy feast stoves. Still trying to figure it out. It's still not sure how much I like it. I wish it came with a snuff cap, but it doesn't. You can use your cup to snuff it out. But switching over to that stove saves me 4 ounces. I bought a Tokes titanium cup rather than using the stainless steel cup that I had. Saved me 1.8 ounces. Oh, my first video, I had the battery operated water pick. Oh my goodness, I talked to my dentist and I said, you got to come up with a lighter solution. It's terrible. And he gave me some syringes with a little curved tip. He says it's not the best because you're not going to get the kind of water pressure, you know, you're not going to be able to do like you can with your water pick. But while you're gone for a week, use this to squirt underneath and all in between your teeth. Oh, here's a funny one. I have a food bag for hanging my food. In the food bag, I use a big smelly proof bag. It goes in the waterproof food bag and gets hung. I use a smelly proof bag hoping that it will keep animals away. Because even though you're hanging it, I don't care what anybody says, a squirrel can jump to that bag and still gnaw through your bag and get your food if you got something in there he thinks smells good. So I like to think that maybe the smelly proof bag might help me out there a little bit. But my food bag was 4.4 ounces. So what I did was I made my own food bag, and I made it to fit a smelly proof bag. Let me show you what I did. So I made this to fit the smelly proof bag that we put our food in. I made it out of some kind of water resistant material, but it doesn't really matter if it's a waterproof bag or not because we put everything in a smelly proof bag, which is waterproof. So I made this to fit a smelly proof bag, but here's what's really cool is the drawstring, the way I made it, I can actually throw this over my shoulders and carry it like a backpack if I need it, like for a town backpack, or if I'm leaving camp to just go get water or something and I want something, I have to climb down a steep embankment and I want to have my hands free. I can put my water filtration stuff in this bag, and one goes over one shoulder, one goes over the other shoulder. It wears it like a backpack. So it's almost like a cinch sack, but I didn't attach the cords down to the bottom. I didn't want to make any openings down here, and I didn't want to attach any additional loops and make it any heavier. Wanted it to be as light as possible. This is only 1.2 ounces. That is a savings of 3.2 ounces over my other food bag. Okay, so little things like that, it's amazing how they add up. Then I weighed my clothes, and I found that's my pajama set. I have this really cool camping shirt that I just love to wear when we go out camping. It's a nice long t-shirt, a little bit longer sleeves, with this big picture of a dog next to a campfire, and it says "Never Camp Alone." So I love it. It's like my favorite camping shirt. However, it's 9.6 ounces. And it's cotton, and as comfy as it feels, cotton's not good out on the trail. So I bought a lightweight merino wool long sleeve shirt. 7 ounces. 2.6 ounces I saved there. The hat I was wearing a wool cap. I traded that in for one of those fleece Under Armour caps that you wear like under your helmet when you're mountain biking in the wintertime, which yes I do. And that saved me 1.6 ounces. So anyways, my point is, you really, if your backpack weight is too heavy, you really need to look at it, and you can make changes. And even if they're a little change, even if you're only saving an ounce, it all adds up. Right now, my oral care bag is about 8 ounces, and my first aid bag is almost a pound. It's 15.4 ounces. It was almost 2 pounds, so I got it down to less than half what it was before, but it's still too heavy. But I've got to get in there and figure out some way to lighten up my oral care and my first aid bag. Now, one thing is, I know a lot of people, when they go backpack and they don't bring deodorant. I can't stand to smell myself, so I have to bring deodorant. And I had a bottle of roll-on deodorant, because that's what I use at home. And I said, you know, it's too heavy. So I found a stick deodorant that I like, and I cut it so that it's not in the package. Like, I took it out of the back, and I didn't bring the whole thing. I cut it in half. And as I need more, I'll get another one. And I put it in a Ziploc bag, and that saved me a couple ounces, something like that, something so simple. So my backpack base weight went from 27 pounds or more to, you're gonna love this, 18 pounds 11 ounces. Wow. So if, let's say, because my base weight was like 26.5 pounds, and I had not included a couple of things like my water filter, which is a pound, because I'm using the Grail water filter and it's really heavy. So that would have been like 27.5 pounds, and there was a couple other things that I had forgotten. So it's easily, my base weight was 28 pounds. Now it's 18 pounds 11 ounces. So I shaved off almost 10 pounds of base weight. I am determined to get my base weight down a little lower. I'd like to get it down to like 16 pounds if I can. So there's a few things that I may have to still change or get rid of. Like the Grail water filter. I love the idea of the Grail water filter, but it's a pound compared to the Sawyer Squeeze, which is like, I don't know, a couple ounces. It's a whole pound for just the water filter. But the reason why I got it is because it also removes chemicals. Besides removing protozoas and viruses and bacteria and all that nasty, icky stuff. It also removes chemicals, which Sawyer Squeeze does not. And here in the beautiful state of New Jersey, I worry about chemicals in the water. Okay, so that's all I have to say. I know this was really long and boring because we didn't do anything exciting, but I just wanted to talk about how with just these minor changes, some of them weren't so minor. Oh, my lines and stakes. There was another thing. I had this guy line section. Here, let me show you this. This is my favorite set of guy lines. I love these things. But look at how huge, and this is just for one tarp. 4 guy lines, and then 2 sections that do the ridge line. Look at the size of this and how probably heavy this was. Has these little aluminum tensioners on it. While I loved it, my favorite set, I had to change it. It was just too much. Let me show you what I got now. So this is what I use now. Look how much smaller this is. It's like half the size. Well, guess what? I also saved 5.2 ounces switching to this cordage. I don't like the color very much, but it came with another tarp, so I just kept it and used it. The other silly thing that I did, you're going to find this really funny, is all the stuff sacks. First of all, some things don't get stuff sacks. I just shove them in the bag, my backpack. But the things that do get stuff sacks, you know those little slidey plastic cord locks? I took them all off. Took them all off. The guy line tensioners, took them off. I learned how to tie knots. I learned how to make the Ferriman friction knot, which is an adjustable knot. And I learned how to do like a slippery cow hitch, which is kind of what I do on all my bags. I go like this. I don't know if you can see that. And I go like this. Oh, wait a minute. Can't see what I'm doing. So I go like this, and I make a loop and pull it through part of the way. It holds the bag shut, and if you got to untie it, watch how easy. Boink. Okay. So learn how to tie knots. Get rid of those guy line tensioners. Get rid of those stupid cord locks, because half the time they break anyway. All it is added weight. When I took all the cord locks off all of my stuff sacks and my backpacks, my backpack had like 2 of them, took all of them all off, put it on the scale and weighed them. It was like 3 ounces worth of cord locks. So anyway, that's it. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you learned something. If you have any feedback or any ideas, leave it in the comments below. And have a great day. Be blessed. And don't forget to go play with your dog.